get recipes that are not made for the amount of people that we need and get them to that size, okay, those quantities. If we are, if we've got a recipe that's made for 10 people and we need it to make for 5 people, that's not very hard. We just divide everything in half. If we've got a recipe that's for 5 people and we need it to make 10, it's not very hard either, right? We just double everything, okay? But it's when we've got these odd numbers that make it a lot more difficult for us, okay? And this is something you're going to want to make sure that you can do, because let's say you're in a club, y'all are doing banquets, and you've got, a set recipe that you make for these banquets, and the numbers fluctuate. You don't necessarily need the leftovers, so you want to make exactly what you need, right? You want to make the exact amount that you need. So it's going to be very important to be able to know how to do this. And the reason, I know you guys aren't going to be the chefs and things like that, or that's probably not the goal right now. But what happens when your cook comes to you and says, okay, our chicken salad recipe is for 25, but you're telling me to make it for 330. What do I do? And you need to be able to walk them through it or do it for them and show them how to do it, okay? So that's what we're going to do. So the first thing that we have to do in order to convert a recipe is we have to figure out a conversion factor. So a number that everything multiplies by in order to get our correct amounts, okay? And it's very simple. It's desired yield divided by original yield. So what do you want? How many do you want it to make? Divided by how many does it make right now? So desired yield divided by original yield, okay? So for the example on here, we have an original recipe yield of 5. Sometimes you'll see yield as servings, okay? Same thing. How much does this recipe make? All right, so the original recipe yield is 5. Our desired yield is 14. So it makes 5 right now. We want it to make 14. So desired yield 14 divided by original yield of 5 gives us a conversion factor of 2.8. Okay, 14 divided by 5, 2.8. Does that make sense? All right, so you guys have a worksheet. This would be the first column here. So we're going to walk through this one together, and then I'm going to give you a minute to do the next one by yourself, okay, and then we'll look at it. All right, so let's walk through this one together. This is a loaded potato soup recipe, okay? And it's a really good recipe too, by the way, if you ever want to make it. It's a loaded potato soup recipe. First thing we got to do, our conversion factor. What is our desired yield? 4. What's our original yield? 6, right? So 4 divided by 6 gives us a conversion factor of 0.66, right? We divide that out, we get 0.66. So now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply all of those other numbers in our recipe by 0.66. Okay? So we've got 2 quarts of chicken stock. So 2 times 0.66. Yep, 1.32 quarts. There you go. And right now we're just going to carry over, bring along with us the measurement unit. Okay, so quarts, pounds, cups, what, we're just going to drag that over. We'll talk about changing that up in a minute, okay? We're just going to bring that with us right now. Heavy cream, same thing. 2 cups of heavy cream, so 2 times 0.66, 1.32 cups. We got half a pound of bacon, so 0.5 would be half, right? Times 0.66 gives us 0.33 pounds of bacon. The next few items are individual. They're not units, right? So it's not a cup or a pound or an ounce or anything like that. It is one individual. Sometimes you will see this labeled as one each. So it'll say one each large onion, okay? That just means that you've got one whole one, okay? So 1 times 0.66 is going to be 0.66 of a large onion, so just over half of a large onion. 4 cloves of garlic, so 4 times 0.66 gives us 2.64. Same thing with our potatoes here. Our flour is going to be 1.32. A lot of these conversions right here we've already done. The units are different, but the multiplication is the same, right? 2 times 0.66. So same for the cheese, 1.32 pounds. For the Worcestershire sauce, 1.32 tablespoons. Our hot sauce would be 0.66 because 1 times 0.66, so it'd be 0.66 of a teaspoon. Anytime in a recipe you see that TT beside something, so you see salt and pepper there and it says TT next to it, that means to taste. It means you're going to put it in there, you're going to try it, needs a little more, and you're going to adjust it like that. So it's going to fluctuate, so there's nothing you have to do to it, okay? There's nothing you have to do to it. You just leave it like that. Does that make sense? Uber complicated? Not really? All right, so the next one you're going to do on your own, and then we're going to look at it. So take just a couple minutes and do it, and then we'll talk about it. All right, why don't we look at it? So our desired yield is 450. Our original yield is 6. What is our conversion factor? 75. So did you get this? Or did I throw a loop in there for you? So let's look at the first one. I see some confusion on faces, and that's okay. That's why I did it this way. All right, so chicken stock. Our conversion factor was 75, right? So 75 times 2 is 150, right? 150 quarts. Now I know this sounds crazy. This sounds like there's no way that you're making this much, all right? When I worked at Disney, our recipe for our cheddar soup was 450 servings, okay? Had huge steam kettles that we made this in. We literally put this much stuff in there. If you tell your cooks, I need 150 quarts of chicken stock, they're going to sit there, not all of them, but a lot of them are going to sit there and measure out 150 quarts. Can you imagine how long that takes? And can you imagine what happens when they get about halfway through and they forget what number they're on? And they either have to start over or they just guess where they're at and keep going. Okay, so if we can make it where they have to count less, it's a good thing. So 150 quarts turned into gallons. How many quarts are in a gallon? 4 quarts in a gallon. So if we do the math there and we convert 150 quarts into gallons, we end up with 37.5 gallons. It's going to be a lot easier for them to measure out 37.5 gallons than it is 150 quarts, right? Does that make sense? Same thing with the heavy cream. 150 cups of heavy cream, right? How many cups are in a gallon? Not 6. 16, right? 16 cups are in a gallon, okay? Do the math, convert it down. Now they're dealing with gallons of heavy cream, or maybe you leave it at quarts because that's generally how we buy it. Maybe you do the conversion to quarts, okay? And they just know how many cartons they have to pour in there. All right? Some things like your each, that's not going to change. If it's already in pounds and it's a big number, we really can't get any more pounds in there. The tablespoons, teaspoons, all that kind of stuff, if you can convert up, if you've got a huge number of them and you can convert it up, do so. If you've got the course book, in the back of the course book, either the last page or the next to last page, there is a conversion chart I've stuck in there for you that'll show you all this stuff, right? How many cups are in a gallon, how many cups are in a quart, all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? You're going to have an assignment on Blackboard that's up right now, and it'll be due next week, okay? So make sure that you do it. And it's going to look just like this. It's going to look just like this. Now, where it says number of portions, that means how many servings, right? That means the yield. The yield is 2, okay? And then it says convert this recipe to 42 servings. So we do the same thing. Your desired yield is 42. Your original yield is 2. You get your conversion factor of 21. And you multiply everything by 21. So boom, there you go. If you turn in the assignment like this, I'm going to... Yep, you're right. Good job. Okay? You can also take it even further out if you want to practice, okay? Does that make sense? All right. And the same thing, you'll have 2 on there. So you'll have one where you're going up and one where you're going down. This one's number of portions is 60, and then you convert this recipe into 9 servings. So your desired yield is 9. Your original is 60. You end up with 0.15. And you might be able to bring some of those out as well. Now the numbers are different from this and the assignment, okay? Just so you know. But the idea is still the same, okay? Now, when you turn this in, give it a couple of days and then go back and look at it. Because if you did something wrong, I'm going to have little feedback comments all over the paper that says you need to refigure this, remember you should figure this like this, that type thing. And you can resubmit it, okay? If you don't resubmit it, then you just get the grade that's on there. And if you do it right the first time, then you're good. You don't have to worry about it, okay? That makes sense? Questions, comments, concerns, issues, things we're not sure about?